What's up, guys? Greetings from Houston, Texas. Mike here with AT Astro, Era of Truth, Aspect and Relationship Astrology. And in this awesome astrological segment, I will be going over sexual attractiveness and magnetism in the natal chart. Am I sexy? Are you sexy? We'll take a quick look over your natal chart, and you might just be able to find out. Okay, so I guess we'll just start from the top. There's 4 specific signs that are generally associated with attractiveness. The signs that rule Mars and Venus. That would be Aries and Scorpio, respectively, and then Libra and Taurus, respectively. So just for starters, placements, especially Venus or Mars, or the Ascendant, in those 4 signs is a nice, good start. Asking the question, am I attractive? Another really good aspect to have is sexual planets in contact to the ascendant or the midheaven. Some people would say the descendant. I sort of disagree since the descendant's more focused on the other. But let's say you have your Venus conjunct the descendant, or even in the first house. 2 notable people with that would be Angelina Jolie and Macklemore. Also, on top of that, Angelina Jolie has her Mars conjunct the midheaven, and since the midheaven has a lot to do with how the public views you, that sexual side of her expressive energy is just displayed out to the world. Another aspect is having planets that are placed in the 1st, the 4th sometimes, not as much, but the 7th or the 8th house. So like we see Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen, look at that fool. I don't understand how anybody could find him attractive, but apparently he's, one of the most famous Lotharios in Hollywood history. Well, he's got his moon falling in the 8th house. Also, he's got his North Node conjunct the Descendant. That's another very important one as well. Having your North Node conjunct the Descendant, it has such a magnetizing, the North Node is such a magnetic point in one's own energy that it brings partners to you. Having Venus conjunct Mars, it's another good one. People with this aspect, in the way that they move, and the way that they express their subconscious ego, it just oozes sensuality and sexuality. These people are generally never short of sexual partners. Another great aspect to have is Pluto, and Pluto is that's a different type of attractiveness, though. It's on the deeper level. When somebody shows their Pluto and their personality, it just draws people, and they don't know why. This person might not even be that good looking, but oh my god, I just can't stop thinking about them. When you have Pluto conjunct the Ascendant, it's a really good one. People with that aspect tend to sort of in a way wear their Pluto on their demeanor, wear it on their sleeves. A lot of times they have a lot of tattoos, or they come off really tough. Pluto is a tough planet. And sometimes they just have a very, very complex and mysterious draw to them. Venus conjunct Pluto. I myself have that aspect. That can be incredibly magnetic. Albeit, I have noticed it can be very polarizing as well. If the person who's looking at the Venus-Pluto person has a pretty poor opinion of Pluto in their natal chart, they can sometimes be actually quite repelled. But most of the time, it tends to work. Venus and Taurus, Venus and Scorpio, very good. Having your Mars fall in the 8th house is phenomenal. Marilyn Monroe had that aspect. Jesus has that aspect. People are still writing love songs about that fool. Another great one to have would be Pluto conjunct Mars. Pluto conjunct Mars, first of all, it gives phenomenal drive to the persona, but let's say Hillary Clinton had that aspect, and I mean, regardless of how she looks now, take a look back at her like 50 years ago, and she was beautiful, very beautiful. Sometimes though, Venus hard Pluto or Mars hard Pluto aspects can have a detrimental effect too. Like Margaret Thatcher had the Venus square Pluto. But she also had Saturn conjunct the Ascendant, and that in itself can really just turn people away from you. Another great one to have is, honestly, Pluto and any hard aspect to any of your planets is going to really amp up the magnetism. The North Node is very important in determining somebody's sexual magnetism as well. Seeing the North Node conjunct somebody's Venus, seeing the North Node conjunct somebody's Mars, those can definitely be some pretty heart-stopping people. because like the North Node is such a magnetizing influence in somebody's chart. So I hope this was helpful. I do consultations. Just feel free to contact me. We'll work something out. I'm very cheap. And till next time, guys, thank you.